Be the Cotton Bowl, Arlington, America, the Goodyear Cotton Bowl, Ohio State, Texas, 7:30 Eastern, ESPN. The Buckeyes have been the most dominant team so far in the playoffs, winning both games by at least 20 points, including a 34-point lead in the first half against number 1 Oregon. That win over the Ducks with the Buckeyes third against the top 5 opponent this season. If they beat Texas, they'll tie the record for wins against top 5 opponents in a season. And Ryan Day's position, depending on who you believe, it seemed tenuous after the loss to Michigan. I don't buy it, but whatever. Ohio State, again, beating down their opponents to this point. New on SportsCenter, Day talked about the Buckeyes coming to this point of the season fresh.
Part of it was the fact that we felt like by cutting down the number of snaps, it would certainly help with the length of the season and the health of our team. But also getting in a huddle and having Will Howard look 10 guys in the eye and break a huddle together kind of grew as the season went on. And there was a little bit, a part of that we felt like gave us a little bit of an edge. As time went on, the guys felt more and more comfortable and broke that huddle together as a group and as a team and as a unit. And I think that helped us. It has allowed us an opportunity to be more cohesive on offense.
Whatever it is, it's been working. It's great to have Holly Rowe, who is covering the Buckeyes, with us here on SportsCenter. Holly, you were in the room with Ryan Day. What more did Ohio State's head coach share about his team getting ready for this big one against Texas?
Well, I think the biggest point is fresh, fast football. I love that Ryan Day and Chip Kelly, the offensive coordinator, sat down in August to make a plan to cut down the number of snaps in a game. So his team is fresh and playing some of their best football. They came out of the Rose Bowl relatively healthy. The players I talked to said they're definitely sore. They know the season is long, but it has been brilliant by huddling to take less plays per game. They are 117th in the country in plays per game. Usually triple digits aren't good in any ranking, but this particular one has fewer plays, less wear and tear on the body, and in their 2 college football playoff games, the offense of Ohio State has run 43 fewer plays than the Texas defensive front. So just think about that. That's almost a whole game wear and tear from a snap count that Texas defense has that Ohio State doesn't have. So fresh and fast, that is the theme of the day for Ohio State coming into this game.
And as good as depth as anyone in the country on the offensive side of the ball, they have certainly been fun to watch, as will this game. Holly Rowe with the Buckeyes. Holly, thank you.
All right, Roddy Jones joins me back here at Hard Rock Stadium. And Ohio State, they took that L against Michigan, and then they've just completely rolled over their last few opponents. How do they keep that momentum as they play Texas?
Well, first and foremost, they've got to keep the chip on the shoulder that they've played with ever since that Michigan loss. It's felt like when you have a blue blood, it's as talented as Ohio State with as big a chip as they now have, it makes them unstoppable. The other thing is they've done a lot more 2 tight end sets, which forces teams into bigger personnel groupings, a lot more shifts and motions pre-snap, which creates a lot more matchups for guys like Jeremiah Smith. So continuing to throw it to 4 is probably a great idea. And when teams have kept numbers back to defend against the outstanding freshmen, then you can run the ball with Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. But what Jeremiah Smith has brought to them in the pass game in this playoff has been something that nobody else can recreate. He is a nightmare in one-on-one matchups. His size, his strength, he hasn't played like a freshman all year long, but now that he's played an entire season, feels like he realizes the extreme upside that he has, and he goes out there and shows it every single time.
Yeah, I like how Chippy, you said keep the chip on the shoulder.
Yeah.
That guy, he's a freshman, but he has so much pizzazz, I will say. He talks a lot of trash.
He does. He feels like he's the best player on the field. He feels
Right.
like he's uncoverable in man-to-man coverage.
Exactly.
He said as much. And look, he's right.
Right, why would you play him man on man? All right, Roddy Jones will be back with us later in the show, Matt.
Yeah, he'd also be the number 1 pick of the draft today. Let's talk Texas. So wait, the Buckeyes in the Cotton Bowl. Longhorns survived the double overtime thriller with Arizona State. Texas walked off the game with an interception inside the 5-yard line. Quinn Ewers started his career at Ohio State, has 27 wins at Texas, 4th most in program history. First time a starting quarterback faces his former team in the playoffs. And Steve Sarkisian's arrival in Texas has turned it back to a prestige program, combining the 2nd most wins since 2023, but they're still underdogs against the Buckeyes, of which Sark spoke on today. It's new on SportsCenter.
The reality of it is you don't get any points for being an underdog. You know, they don't, you don't get to, hey, we lost by 5, you win. It doesn't work like that in our world. You have to, either win or you lose the game. And so our job is to put forth the maximum effort, with great attention to detail to make sure we're right in the mental frame of mind to compete and then ultimately perform, and to perform in those critical moments. Human nature is human nature. You can't sit and think that our guys aren't sitting around and looking at Twitter, because that's what our guys do. When they get on the bus, they pull out their phones like everybody else does. And so they hear that, but we don't really speak that way. But I do think human nature is human nature.
Rule number 1, can't look at Twitter. Rule number 2, it's a good thing this game's indoors for Laura Rutledge and everyone covering the game as a rare snowstorm hit the DFW area. Laura, you're with the Longhorns. What more can you tell us about what Sark is saying about Ohio State and his own quarterback, Quinn Ewers, going into tomorrow night?
Yeah, well, Matt, certainly they're aware that they're an underdog, but there's a lot of confidence around Texas, and they're not backing down from that at all. And in fact, Sark said, let's see what happens if we get Ohio State into the fourth quarter and it's a one-score game, as we know, and as you detailed, they've been in some of those games lately, and they have come out on top at the end. They feel very prepared for those moments where their backs are against the wall and they have to go out and win the game. And Quinn Ewers, Texas's quarterback, is really having a lot of confidence right now as well, certainly feeling a little bit healthier. He's dealt with injuries throughout the season, as we've talked about. And Quinn yesterday was sitting back in front of the media, just relaxed as ever, talking through how he feels about this game. And I think when you think about their chances and what will matter most, his confidence all year long is a big piece of it. Sark said, hey, this guy all year has just heard everyone say, play Arch, put him in the game. And then what does he do? He goes out there, 4th and 13, wins the game for Texas. I'm sorry to remind you of that, Matt. It was certainly, as an Arizona State fan, I know you don't want to think about it, but for Texas, it's a big reason why they feel really good going up against an Ohio State team that they acknowledge has played some of the best football of late that we've seen.
Laura, I was so proud of you during that hit, because you just kept talking about Quinn Ewers and confidence, and not once did you mention the Arizona State game, and then at the end you went and mentioned the Arizona State game. Next time, do your live shot in the snow.
Couldn't help it.
Thank you, Laura.